Hi. Today I'm gonna bleach my hair while I tell you guys a story about something that I went through while I was in elementary school. Don't have an actual tint bowl, but I have a sour cream bowl that I washed out, so that's cool. I also have a tint brush, and I did own rubber gloves, but I lost them, so
I made one.
what? I don't know how well it's gonna work out, but when I was in elementary school, it wasn't common for schools to have gender-neutral washrooms in them. And I came out as a trans guy when I was going into the 8th grade, so we had gym class, and we started having to change for gym class in grade 7. So I changed in the girls' change room for a year, and then I came out, and then my school didn't really know how to approach it. I was the first open trans student at that elementary school that they were aware of, so they didn't really know where to put me in terms of where I could change for gym class. I felt a little excluded, but I also knew that this was like a circumstance that they had never really dealt with before, and so I was empathetic towards like them not knowing what to do. And nobody was ever rude about it, so like I didn't feel, angry about it. And it's weird looking back at it now because I truly believed that like I was being the inconvenience in the situation. I don't know how this is gonna work. By the way, as I'm doing this, like I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm literally just putting this in my hair, and then I'm gonna wait a bit, and then I'm gonna rinse it out. So, I've always said that I don't really care if I was to mess up my hair because at the end of the day I would just shave it. I've shaved my head before, so I'm just doing my best. There's a hole in the bag, but everything's okay. This is just turning out awful, honestly. I have no idea what I'm doing. Don't try this at home. Don't take tips from me. There's bleach on my fingertips. I'm just gonna let it set. I don't really know. Because they didn't know where to put me, and they didn't know where I could change. There was a storage closet, and it was in between the boys' bathroom and the girls' bathroom, and it was right across from the gym main doors, so it was easily accessible by everyone. Things that were in this closet were a toilet, a sink, a mirror, a vacuum cleaner, school toilet paper, and any other supplies that they could really store in there. I could never get in or out of that bathroom without kids seeing me because it was in such a central area. I didn't really get upset at anyone though because I felt like I was being the inconvenience in the situation. I felt like it was my fault and like I had to adjust to other people. I did get really self-conscious going in there though. I would skip school on the days that I knew that I had gym class just so that I didn't have to go and change in there. I remember like parting ways with my friends at the end of class as they were going to change in the change rooms with everyone else, and I was just going off into the storage closet across the hall. Everyone knew that I was trans, and it brought it up like twice a week. It was really weird. It was like, oh, because you're transgender, like you have to go over here. Eventually through the year, they had put a special needs sign onto the storage closet with the toilet in it so that it was a special needs washroom, and that was at least gender neutral. I haven't really talked about it much before, but like when I was younger, I was really into track and field. I was a really avid runner, and I liked to run cross country. I wore many, many sneakers before I ever picked up a guitar. Once I came out and had to change in a storage closet, I just sort of got so self-conscious to the point where I was like, I don't really feel comfortable doing this anymore. I like stopped signing up for things and things that I did sign up for, like I wouldn't go to practice, or like I would only come to the game like dressed in my clothes so I didn't have to go change. Once I got into high school, I pretty much told them that like I was used to being outed and like using a washroom that didn't align with my gender identity. They showed me where the key was for the special needs washroom at my high school, and I continued to use those washrooms for a bit. That brought up a lot of bullying in high school, and I remember I would try to use the male bathrooms, and a lot of things happened. High school really sucked. I just over time like stopped caring about my physical health. When I got into high school, they didn't accommodate to me being trans. They had heard of like 1 or 2 other trans kids that had come out in that school and were open about it, and those kids were already older and didn't have to take gym class anymore and chose not to, so it wasn't an issue. They asked me if I would want to go into the girls' class for grade 9 gym, and I said no, that I wasn't comfortable doing that. And they pretty much told me, well, you can't go into the guys' class, it's gonna be too hard, it's gonna be too physically demanding, and we don't want the bullying that would be brought up there. I didn't make any friends going into high school just because it was so known that I was different and that like I just wasn't a normal guy that you just walked up and talked to. Like people knew that I sang, and people knew that I made videos, and people knew that I was trans and that my mom had passed away, and people knew that my dad was really sick, but like people didn't know me. They knew all of that stuff through like what they saw online. And so a lot of people would just like stand back and like talk about me as I walked by, and they wouldn't like say hey to me or anything, but they would just be like, that's Adam. And even the people that like had no clue who I was and like didn't care, I just had so much anxiety at that point that I was pretty much convinced that everyone in the world was talking about me and making fun of me. I had no motivation to join sports teams anymore. In that same year, school clubs actually got taken away for a bit because people went on strike, and it was just this big mess. Teachers pretty much weren't allowed to coach teams and run clubs and stuff for a bit. And so everything just pushed me away from doing any sports activities. When I was in elementary school, I was on every sports team. I won Female Athlete of the Year in 2010, so there's a fun fact. So that's why I never really continued on with running, and that's why I never really picked anything else up. Like when I was in elementary school, I was on the volleyball team, I was on the basketball team, I was on the badminton team, and I ran like crazy, so. But on the plus side, you know, me not joining sports teams in high school and not having friends pretty much meant that I spent a lot of time in my room playing my guitar and writing music, and that's sort of where I found myself the most. That's where I learned the most about myself. I had a lot of time to think, probably too much time to think. There was the odd time here and there that my dad would come downstairs at like 5 in the morning and I had just gone out for a run and he was always like... I've still always wanted to get back into running, and it's just one of those things. I think the last time I actually ran a race, I was probably 10 years old. And like that's really crazy to think about because I'm almost 20. I just like dove right into music and I didn't even realize that I was kind of dropping one of my passions. But for sure, I'd really like to get back into running at some point. I obviously don't really have a timeline on that, and I think that's probably the worst thing. I picked all the bad habits up of being a teenager too, and I started eating unhealthy, and I wasn't taking care of myself for the last years. I would go through these like spurts of time where I would just like work out all the time and eat really, really good, but then I'd always fall back. I think that'll be one of my New Year's resolutions this year. I think I'd want to start running again. Also, I should probably wash this bleach out of my hair soon. I think it's doing things.